He's elbows up, elbows down. He's flying all around, and it's cost 86,000 Canadians their jobs. Everywhere he goes, things get worse. When won't this guy admit that he's just like Justin Trudeau, just another Liberal?
The official opposition chief whip.
Before the election, the Prime Minister said that it was elbows up. That was his solution to save Canadian jobs. After the election, it was elbows down, and since then, he's been flying all around. He met with the Chinese and raised and after that meeting, they raised tariffs on Canadian farmers and seafood. He met with the Americans, and after that meeting, they raised tariffs on higher on Canadian lumber. He met with the British, and they said, no, they're not dropping the tariffs on Canadian beef. He's elbows up, elbows down. He's flying all around, and it's cost 86,000 Canadians their jobs. Everywhere he goes, things get worse. When will the Prime Minister just stop? Park the jet before he costs more Canadians jobs.
The government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this idea that the Prime Minister is flying around the world without bringing back to Canada productive results is a ludicrous one. We've signed landmark agreements in Europe. We've signed landmark agreements in Asia. We've gone to Mexico, signed landmark agreements with the administration there. This Prime Minister is active. He's out there building export markets. He's out there building opportunities for Canadians. He's building Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
The official opposition chief whip.
The Prime Minister promised that he was going to fix the disaster that Justin Trudeau left, but 86,000 Canadians have lost their jobs since this Prime Minister took office. Just this last week, 900 Calgarians lost their job at Imperial Oil. 300 jobs are threatened at Cap Paper, and GM has announced that it's moving jobs from Oshawa back to the United States. This Prime Minister was elbows up, elbows down, flying all around. This guy promised that he was going to be different than Justin Trudeau, but just like Trudeau, he's been jet-setting, talking to fancy people, taking care of his Liberal friends, while Canadians are losing their jobs. Why won't this guy admit that he's just like Justin Trudeau, just another Liberal?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's for the exact reason that we are doing the work of going around the world to attract new investment and to do these major deals. We are always going to stand on the side of Canadian workers and Canadian employers. That's why we put together one of the most comprehensive response funds with a strategic response fund of $5 billion. We will always be there for Canadian workers and Canadian businesses.
Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
Well, as impossible as it may seem, things are worse under this Prime Minister than they were under Justin Trudeau. And while those connected to the Prime Minister, his corporate buddies, Liberal-connected insiders, and lobbyists are doing just fine, 86,000 Canadians have lost their jobs since he became the Prime Minister. Canada now has the second highest unemployment rate in the G7. Our productivity as a country is nearing developing nation status. Why are the policies of the Prime Minister designed to benefit his corporate buddies and Liberal insiders while Canadians pay the price?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Minister of Health announced that now 5 million Canadians are getting affordable dental care in this country. And in my own riding, I just want to tell you the story of one individual I met just before the last election. In fact, he had just had his teeth fixed after 20 years of not having a plan. This fully employed worker did not have benefits that could provide for him to have oral health. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? What he said to me is, I sure hope you win again so that I can get my lower teeth fixed. And that's exactly what we did for this man, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
And they're also checking the stock price of Brookfield-related companies. Nearly $60 billion in investment has fled the country, mostly to the place where the Prime Minister has 93% of his investments in the United States. He promised he would handle Trump and negotiate a win by July 16th. Then it was July 21st, then August 1st. It's October 3rd. He promised strength but has shown weakness. Oshawa, Kapuskasing, and Calgary have all been devastated with job losses this week. How many more families need to lose their jobs and businesses close before the Prime Minister wakes up to the reality that what he's doing isn't working?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would simply point out to the member Canada's economy continues to grow, wages continue to grow, interest rates are down, and this Prime Minister is creating opportunities for Canadians in export markets, and he's creating opportunities for Canadians here at home. We're going to be building major projects. We're going to be building them with Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, Canadian lumber, with Canadian skilled trades, men and women, Mr. Speaker. This Prime Minister is on the job, on the economy. The Conservatives need to wake up to that.
L'honorable député de Louis Saint-Laurent,
The honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent, Acawanrac. Well, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister said that he would have a winning agreement with the U.S. by July 21st, but that didn't happen. Then he said he would do it by August 1st. That didn't work either. All of these promises failed, and the result is that today, 86,000 Canadians have lost their jobs. Is this because of the Prime Minister's diplomatic failures or because of his job-killing economic policies? The Honourable Government House Leader. Well, Mr. Speaker, Canadians have just chosen a Prime Minister and government that they felt were the best to stand up for Canada. And we have announced agreements with Europe, with Asia, with Mexico. And yes, the Prime Minister will be visiting Washington next week in order to continue the difficult negotiation process with the U.S. And I know that Canadians have placed their trust in our Prime Minister. The honourable member. Well, all right, let's talk about the Prime Minister. Indeed, he was elected 6 months ago, saying elbows up. But what happened when he went to the White House? It was elbows down and thumbs up to Mr. Trump. And now, things have gotten even worse, Mr. Speaker. The reality is that Canadians were scanned by this Prime Minister who said elbows up. Tariffs have doubled since this Prime Minister has been here. 86,000 jobs have been lost. That's what's happened to Canadians. Will this government finally wake up and help Canadian workers? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind my honourable colleague that out of all the countries in the world, it is Canada that has the best agreement and the lowest tariffs with the U.S. 86% of our economy is exempt from U.S. tariffs. Canadians who are watching today know that the situation with the U.S. is currently complex, but that nonetheless, we are the country that is doing best. Every month since the beginning of the year, Canadian salaries have increased faster than the cost of living. The Prime Minister is the person who's going to help us with these challenges. Mr. Speaker, we have catastrophic news for our forestry industry. Donald Trump has just announced further tariffs, further 10% tariffs on our lumber, in addition to the current illegal tariffs of 35%. And on top of that, the Liberals announced some assistance at the beginning of August, but actually that money has never arrived. Unifor is asking the federal government to do something. Their Quebec leader has said, it's an emergency now, not in 2 weeks. When will the federal government finally support our forestry industry? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister of Industry and the other ministers are fighting for our workers, including in the softwood lumber sector. We are holding a number of meetings with important stakeholders. We have ensured that we have strategic response funds set aside. We will be supporting businesses, workers, and we will always stand up for our companies and workers. The honourable member. Mr. Speaker, I hope that the Prime Minister's trip to Washington next week will be more fruitful than his previous ones, because up until now, Canada's negotiating tactics have been so bad that it's easier for European wood to get to the U.S. than Quebec lumber. Meanwhile, the assistance that Ottawa promised has not been sent out. The industry is in danger. The price of lumber has decreased by 15% over the summer. Even for businesses that do not do business in the U.S., our sawmills are losing money even when they sell internally. When will the federal government finally send this assistance? The Honourable Government House Leader. Indeed, this is a very difficult period for our exporting softwood lumber companies. That's been the case for some time. We think that the tariffs and measures taken by our neighbours to the south are wrong and bad for consumers, American consumers, we will always stand up for our forestry sector in my own region. And in Pontiac and Maniwaki, workers are being affected. We will always stand up for our workers and for our forestry industry. The Honourable Member for Saint-Hyacinthe Bagot Acton. Mr. Speaker, in June, the Prime Minister said he would have an agreement with Donald Trump within 30 days. But since there has just been failure after failure, we have new tariffs on our softwood lumber. There are discussions about bringing in more American dairy to the country. Ottawa removed the digital services tax, and it also backed down on the global minimum tax for American giants in tax havens. Failure after failure. The Prime Minister is supposed to meet with Donald Trump on Tuesday. He cannot come back to Canada with more failures. What will he bring back from Washington? Mr. Speaker, we have always said that we will work very, very hard to create good agreements with the U.S., and we believe that their measures on the forestry sector and in the area of tariffs in general are completely unjustified. The Prime Minister will be visiting the White House next week to continue the negotiating process, and Canadians can place their trust in our Prime Minister and our diplomatic team, as well as our Canada-U.S. Minister. They will be working hard to create agreements that will guarantee our economic future.